Level 21. So our starting point is looking at these two bombs. They have to hit, both of them have to hit two bunnies. And you see here are two they could hit, one each. And here are two and these two. So if they hit these, they also have to hit these. And if they hit these, still they have to hit these. So they hit these no matter what. This means that these can't be hit by the 5 bomb. Which means there has to be a wall either here or here. So these have to be empty spaces. But also, the 5 bomb can only hit these 3 clusters. And since both of these are 3, it can't hit both of those. So it has to hit this. Which then also tells us that these bombs can't hit these bunnies, so they have to hit these ones. And now we can fill in some walls here. And here. Also, we know that these can't be empty spaces because they would block in the water drop. Now, so this has to be a wall. One of these has to be a wall, and one of these has to be a wall. This row needs to have 7 walls. So we can fill it in. That turns several columns gray. So we fill them in with empty spaces. And now we see this bomb hitting this bunny, which means the 5 bomb can't hit it. Therefore, there has to be a wall here. This has to be empty space, which means this has to be wall. And this also makes it so that these have to be empty spaces. Then we need to block off some bombs here and also here. There needs to be one wall here, which makes this an empty space. This is grayed out now, which means this is an empty space, which means the rest of this column has walls. And now these are grayed out. So is this. And the 3 remaining walls in this column have to be here. Now this is grayed out. And there's one more wall in this column having to be right here. Grays out this row. And the rest is easy. One more wall in this column. None in this row. And the last wall has to be right here. Level 22. So the water drop has to be walled off from this bomb, which means the one wall on this row cannot be here or here. That means this bomb has to hit this bunny and cannot hit this bunny, which means the wall on this row has to be between here. It also means this bunny has to be walled off from this bomb. And it's the same here. The wall in this column has to be between the bomb and the water drop, so it can't be here or here. So now this bunny has to be walled off from this bomb. Now we have a gray column and a gray row, giving us some more targets. Now, since there has to be a wall here, this bunny can't be hit by this bomb. Well, I mean, since there's a wall here, this bomb has to hit this bunny. Which means this bunny must be walled off from this bomb. And it means this bomb has to hit this bunny. Now, this bunny must be hit by this bomb, and this bomb hit this bunny. So this can't be hit by this bomb, which instead must hit this bunny. Then we must have a wall here. This bomb finally must hit this bunny. Now the top row needs to have 4 walls, which can only go here. And the rightmost column, similarly, walls there. It gives us a few gray columns and rows. Now these bombs are connected to this water drop, which means they must not be connected to this water drop, which means this has to be a wall, and this has to be a wall. And similarly, this has to be a wall, and this has to be a wall. Gives us a few more grays here and here, as well as here and here. By the same token, these cells can't connect, so this has to be a wall. That turns this gray. And this cell must be a wall, turning this gray. Also, this must be a wall. This is grayed out. There's one more wall in this column. This is grayed out, and that leaves us one final wall to place. Level 23. First, this column, 0 walls, and then these columns can be filled in with walls. Now, there has to be a path from this water drop to all the enemies, which means there has to be a path here, which means the rest of the cells in this column have to be walls. Similarly, these have to be free, which means the 5 cells remaining have to be walls. And now this row is grayed out, which means we can fill in this column. And also look at these rows down here. They can all be filled in. Now this is grayed out, and this row as well. There must be 7 walls in this column, which means these 3 are walls. And now for the final part, there have to be 2 walls here because of the column number. And in this column, there has to be 1 more wall. And each of these makes room for 1 wall. Each of these tells us there is 1 more wall in each of these rows. So if we put a wall here, there can't be one here, for instance. And now because there has to be a path from the water drop here, we can't have, say, a wall here and one there. That would block these off. So that tells us that the walls in this column have to be here, because otherwise we could get a situation like this, where there's the only wall left to place would be here, which would block off this zone. Therefore, the other wall in this column has to be here, And that makes this column gray. And then the final wall has to be placed here. And there you have it. Level 24. This row has 3 walls, which means at least one of these bunnies is blocked from this bomb, which means it can only hit 2 bombs max on this row, which is not 3, which means it has to hit these bunnies instead. So this has to be a block, and this is an empty space. And we have the same thing down here. So a wall here and an empty space here. Now, this has to be a block. This has to be a block. And that also means that the bombs and bunnies have to be as follows. No other way is possible. And let's see, this column, 6 walls and 6 free spaces, same here. And in these columns, 2 spaces that have to be walls. Now we have a couple grayed out rows. Fill them out with empty spaces. And then the columns on the ends, 4 walls. Gives us some more gray rows. Now we see everything on the right has to be connected to this water drop. And if any of these 3 spaces are walls, then we have a blockage. So they have to be empty, which means the one wall in this column is here. Same thing on the left side. This column has 1 wall. It can't be here, or here, or here. So it has to be here. That leaves this row gray and this one, which means the 1 wall left in this column has to be here. And the 1 wall left in this row and column right here. Level 25. Okay, so in this row, we have 3 walls, which means this bunny cannot be hit by this bomb. And the only other bomb that can hit it is this one. In the bottom row, there's only 1 wall, and it has to be somewhere between these 2 bombs, which means it can't be here or here. And now this bomb has to be blocked off from this bunny. And no more walls on this row. So now this bomb has to be blocked off from this bunny. And this one here. And now we know that this bomb cannot hit this bunny. So there has to be a wall either here or here. Since there's only 1 wall in this column, it can't be any of these. This bomb can only hit these 2 bunnies, and so it has to. And this bunny has to be blocked off from this bomb by a wall. And this bunny from this bomb, which grays out this column. And now this bomb can only hit these 2 bunnies, and so it has to. And this has to be blocked off. And this column is grayed out. Now there's one more wall on this row, which must be one of these two, which means this bomb can only hit this bunny. There has to be a wall blocking this bomb from this bunny, which can only be there. The other wall in this column must be one of these three, so it can't be here. Now the final bombs. This bunny can only be hit by this bomb, and this one only by this bomb. Now we need to block off some more bombs, like that, and that, and there. In order to separate this water drop from this one, you can't have any connection here. So these three must be walls, and so must this. And that grays out these two columns. And by the same token, this must be a wall. So must this and this. And the rest of the column is empty space. This column has one more wall, which must be here. And this row is grayed out now. This water drop must be separated from this water drop. So there must be a wall here, graying out this column. And so there must be walls here, here, and here. And following the same logic, a wall here, which grays out the column in this row. And in order to complete the separation, we must have two more walls here and here. This row is grayed out. And the final space must there be a wall. Level 26. As we see, we can fill out this column. And this water drop must have a path to both sides, like so. Which means we can fill out this row, the rest of it with walls. Must also have a path here, 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 and here, letting us fill out these columns. And again, path must continue, letting us fill out these rows. And by exactly the same logic, these rows are now, and columns are grayed out. It says 8 walls. And there we go. Level 27. So this row can be filled out with empty space. So does this. So these bunnies have to be hit by this bomb. There is one wall either here or here, which means that this bomb, who has to hit 6 bunnies, has to hit at least this one down here, which means this can't be hit by that bomb. So this bomb must hit here, meaning there has to be a wall blocking this from that bomb. And so this must be an empty space. Therefore, this bomb can only hit this bunny. The wall in this column must be between the bomb and the bunny. So it can't be here or here. And the bomb in this column must be here. So we see this row. The rest of the spaces must be walls. And the same with the bottom row. This row is grayed out, which means these two have to be walls. This column's gray, so is this. This column has 3 empty spaces, so the rest must be walls. This row is grayed out. The rest of the spaces in this row must be walls. So now these are gray. Final space in this row must be a wall. And this one is grayed out. And then the final space must be a wall.